Imagine a warrior carrying two swords through a crowded Japanese city. People step aside, not because battle has begun, but because he rules. His armor may be stored away, yet his status shapes every street. For 7 centuries, Japan's warriors controlled land, law, taxes, and government. They began as mounted fighters serving distant nobles and provincial estates. They ended as administrators watching their own social world disappear. Between those moments came civil wars, invasions, castles, guns, and peace. The samurai story is not simply about swords or honorable duels. It is the story of how warriors became Japan's ruling class. To follow that transformation, imagine one family blade passing through generations. Its first owner would barely recognize the society of its last. Our journey begins before any shogun ruled from a military capital. During the Heian period, Japan's imperial court governed from elegant Kyoto. Aristocrats valued poetry, ceremony, rank, and connections within the palace. Yet the court depended on provincial families to protect distant lands. Local disputes over taxes and estates often required armed force. Powerful families trained mounted archers and gathered loyal household warriors. These fighters became known as bushi, while samurai meant those serving. Early warriors fought mainly with bows from horseback, not famous swords. Their strength came from land, family alliances, and personal military reputation. As central authority weakened, provincial warrior clans became increasingly independent. 2 families eventually stood above their rivals, the Taira and Minamoto. In 1180, conflict erupted into the Genpei War across Japan. Battles took place on roads, rivers, mountains, and coastal waters. War tales later transformed these campaigns into dramatic stories of loyalty. Yet beneath the legends, the war decided who would govern Japan. In 1185, the Minamoto defeated the Taira at Dan no Ura. Minamoto Yoritomo established his headquarters far east in Kamakura. He did not remove the emperor from Kyoto's sacred position. Instead, Japan developed 2 centers of authority with different purposes. The emperor remained a source of legitimacy, culture, and ceremonial prestige. The shogun's military government controlled warriors, lands, and practical enforcement. This arrangement allowed emperors to reign while warrior governments ruled. For the samurai, political power now depended on service and reward. Lords granted land rights or offices to dependable military followers. In return, retainers owed loyalty, administration, and service during war. The relationship was practical, personal, and frequently tested by ambition. The Kamakura government was still fragile when foreign danger approached. Kublai Khan's Mongol-led forces invaded Japan in 1274 and 1281. Samurai confronted coordinated troops using massed arrows and explosive weapons. They adapted, resisted landings, and fought from coastal defenses and boats. Powerful storms then devastated the invasion fleets waiting offshore. Japan survived, but the victory created a serious political problem. Defenders had protected their homeland without capturing new territory. There was little conquered land available for rewarding exhausted warriors. Unpaid expectations weakened trust in the Kamakura military government. Internal disputes grew until the regime collapsed in 1333. Warrior rule survived because another military coalition replaced it. Ashikaga Takauji established a new shogunate centered in Kyoto. The Ashikaga shoguns ruled through relationships with powerful regional governors. These governors, called shugo, accumulated soldiers, wealth, and local influence. Central control remained weaker than it had been under Kamakura. Samurai politics became a constant negotiation between shogun and provincial power. Culture also changed what it meant to be an elite warrior. Leading samurai supported Zen temples, gardens, painting, theater, and tea. Martial authority and artistic refinement were not treated as opposites. A successful warrior might study poetry while preparing for violent conflict. But refinement could not prevent the political order from breaking apart. In 1467, rivalry in Kyoto exploded into the Onin War. Fighting destroyed much of the capital and weakened Ashikaga authority. Regional lords increasingly acted without meaningful control from the shogun. Japan entered the Sengoku period, the age of warring states. This was the most competitive environment samurai society ever faced. Dozens of daimyo fought for castles, roads, farmland, and survival. Talented warriors could rise quickly when older families collapsed. Castles grew larger and became centers of administration and defense. Armies also expanded beyond small groups of elite mounted retainers. Peasant foot soldiers, called ashigaru, became essential battlefield forces. Spears, bows, and coordinated formations mattered more than individual duels. Then Portuguese visitors introduced matchlock firearms during the 16th century. Japanese craftsmen copied the weapons and produced them in large numbers. Some commanders organized disciplined gun units firing coordinated volleys. Instead, it changed how samurai commanders organized larger combined armies. Three ambitious leaders pushed Japan toward unification during this chaos. Oda Nobunaga broke rival coalitions through aggression and military innovation. Toyotomi Hideyoshi continued the process after Nobunaga's assassination. Hideyoshi rose from humble origins inside a rigid warrior society. His career proved that Sengoku disorder could create extraordinary mobility. Once powerful, however, he restricted weapons and strengthened class divisions. Warriors were separated more clearly from farmers and other commoners. Hideyoshi unified Japan, then launched destructive invasions of Korea. His death reopened competition among the most powerful surviving lords. In 1600, Tokugawa Ieyasu won the decisive Battle of Sekigahara. 3 years later, he received the title of shogun. The Tokugawa Shogunate created Japan's longest period of warrior government. Its success came not from endless war, but controlled peace. The Tokugawa divided lords by loyalty and monitored their territories. Daimyo were required to maintain residences and attend the shogun's capital. This system consumed resources and kept powerful families under observation. Castles, marriages, roads, and travel all faced political regulation. After generations of warfare, samurai now lived inside a stable order. Peace transformed their daily purpose more deeply than any battlefield defeat. Many samurai became officials, accountants, teachers, police, and administrators. They collected taxes, recorded laws, managed towns, and served domain governments. The sword remained a visible symbol of rank and authority. Yet many sword-bearing samurai would never fight in a major battle. Their identity increasingly depended on education and disciplined public behavior. Confucian learning influenced ideas about hierarchy, duty, and responsible service. Schools trained warriors in writing, history, ethics, and government. Some studied military arts because tradition demanded continued readiness. Others struggled with debt because their fixed stipends lost purchasing power. Merchants often became wealthier while officially ranking below the samurai. The famous idea of Bushido also changed across different periods. Medieval warriors did not follow one universal written code called Bushido. Their behavior reflected family interest, reward, religion, honor, and survival. Later thinkers organized selected warrior values into clearer moral systems. Loyalty, courage, self-control, and readiness for death became celebrated ideals. Real samurai behavior never matched those ideals perfectly or consistently. Some fought bravely, while others changed sides or avoided danger. Some protected communities, while others exploited the people beneath them. Samurai were human participants in politics, not characters from legend. Women also belonged to warrior households and shaped samurai society. They managed estates, protected homes, arranged alliances, and raised future retainers. Some women trained with weapons and fought during military crises. However, their roles changed across eras and depended heavily on status. By the 19th century, foreign pressure challenged the Tokugawa order. American warships demonstrated how vulnerable Japan had become technologically. Debate divided samurai between supporting the shogunate and restoring imperial power. Warriors from influential domains led movements that overthrew Tokugawa rule. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration returned political authority to the emperor. Ironically, samurai leaders helped destroy the class system supporting them. The new government needed conscription, modern weapons, national taxes, and central control. Hereditary warrior privilege no longer suited those goals. Samurai stipends were converted and wearing swords was restricted. Many former samurai entered government, education, business, journalism, and the military. Others lost income, purpose, and the social respect they expected. Resistance erupted, most famously in the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877. Modern conscript forces defeated warriors fighting for a disappearing order. The samurai class ended, but its cultural image became even stronger. Later generations transformed complex history into stories of perfect loyalty. Novels, films, nationalism, and popular culture reshaped the warrior ideal. The curved sword became the symbol, although early samurai prized bows. Ritual suicide became famous, although most samurai never performed it. Honor became central, although practical politics always influenced warrior decisions. These myths endure because they express powerful ideas about discipline and sacrifice. But the real history is more impressive than the simplified legend. Samurai ruled because they learned to change without surrendering their identity. They moved from provincial fighters to national political authorities. They survived failed governments, foreign invasions, civil wars, and technological change. During peace, they traded battlefield roles for administration and education. Their power rested on institutions, land, service, and controlled violence. It was never created by swordsmanship alone. For nearly 7 centuries, emperors remained while military governments directed daily rule. That unusual balance gave Japan continuity during enormous political change. The samurai did not simply serve the state, they became the state. Then they dismantled their own order to build a modern nation. That final transformation may be their most surprising legacy. If this journey changed your view of samurai, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications for more cinematic stories about warriors and empires. Then comment which samurai leader deserves our next full documentary.